ETs and Jimmy Carter, 1973 ET encounter and briefings with Jimmy Carter aboard UFO led to 1977 ET White House study. In My Journey Landing Heaven on Earth, author Alfred Lambremont Webre, a former Stanford Research Institute futurist who is credited with founding the science of exopolitics, relations with ETs, publicly reveals his own February 1973 multi-dimensional ET experience that launched him into his new field of study. Now author Alfred Lambremont Webre has gone public with the second exopolitical revelation about his close encounters with extraterrestrials. In an exclusive open timeline interview, the author reveals that the extraterrestrials behind his 1973 multidimensional interaction may have coordinated missing time briefings with himself and former US President Jimmy Carter aboard their UFO spaceships that directly led to the 1977 Jimmy Carter White House extraterrestrial communication study, of which the author, Webre, was director. Jimmy Carter, the 1976 campaign, the JFK assassination investigation, and the extraterrestrials. In 1969, these extraterrestrials coordinated a UFO close encounter with Jimmy Carter and 10 members of the Leary, Georgia Lions Club. Then, in 1973, while he was running for governor of Georgia, Jimmy Carter went on to publish an official UFO sighting report of his 1969 UFO-ET encounter. Author Webre, with help from UFO expert John Kelly, shows how Jimmy Carter exhibits all of the telltale signs of both a UFO contactee and abductee from when Carter and author Webre were abducted onto the ET spacecraft together for their briefing. Carter's 1973 public UFO report was a setup, author Webre says, for the 1977 Carter White House extraterrestrial communication study, congruent with the ET's joint 1973 briefing of the author and Jimmy Carter aboard a UFO. During his 1976 presidential campaign, Carter's opponent was Gerald R. Ford, a former Warren Commission member responsible for promoting the deceptive single bullet meme in the JFK assassination, as well as calling former Secretary of Defense Robert S. McNamara as a congressional witness to attribute the 1966 Michigan UFO flap to swamp gas, a disinformation ploy. One little known fact is that Jimmy Carter is reportedly former US President John F. Kennedy's half-brother. Lillian Carter, his mother, was secretary to Joe Kennedy in the 1920s, and becoming pregnant, Joe Kennedy had resettled in Georgia to have the baby, who was JFK's half-brother, Jimmy Carter. And this is being recorded on Tuesday, May 30th, 2017, which is John F. Kennedy's 100th birthday. During the 1976 presidential transition period, Jimmy Carter sent a prominent Atlanta attorney as a presidential emissary to meet with the author at the Carlisle Hotel in New York City because of author Weber's role in helping Henry B. Gonzalez, Democrat of Texas, get the newly established House Select Committee on Assassinations congressional investigation on the JFK assassination underway. Their New York meeting led to a December 1976 Capitol Hill dinner with Carter Inner Circle that the author attended, and at which the concept of the 1976 Carter White House extraterrestrial communication study was born. The author's book reveals a positive presidential interaction with ethical extraterrestrial civilizations and of proposals for creating a positive future for Earth and humanity in the face of an attempted transhumanist transforming of Earth. The ETs behind the abductions of Jimmy Carter, Andy Basiago, and Alfred Webre. Who do you think are the extraterrestrials behind your and Jimmy Carter's ET encounters? Alfred. There are two options for the extraterrestrial civilization that abducted Jimmy Carter and myself, and one more individual, former US Chrononaut Andrew D. Basiago, who visually witnessed me aboard an ET spaceship in 1975 and can confirm his testimony that he saw me aboard the ET UFO. So I do have an independent witness. The ETs behind the abductions of Jimmy Carter, Andy Basiago, and Alfred Webre in this 1969 to 1975 period leading up to the 1977 Carter White House ET study were either, number one, short grays of the variety that Suzanne Hansen, head of UFO New Zealand experience, who were involved in introducing her to the soul of her future son aboard a gray craft when she was 8, and then implanting her son's soul in the fetus in her womb when she was married and pregnant. Or two, the ETs could have been human ET members of the Regional Galactic Governance Council, Pleiadians, Alpha Centaurians, Sirians that created Homo sapiens sapiens and unshielded themselves over New York City on October 13th, 2010, and were in communication with Stanley Fulham, Canadian lifelong NORAD officer, about cleaning up Earth's environment and appearing at the UN. The short grays appear to have a history of contacting individual humans who are morally evolved and are concerned with the welfare of humanity, a characteristic that can be applied to Jimmy Carter, Andrew Basiago, and myself, Alfred Webre, from the facts of our life histories. Andy Basiago states that he saw me, Alfred Webre, inside a glass tube holding facility aboard the UFO craft, an apparently facility into which human abductees are beamed aboard. This sounds like a short gray craft. Andy knows he was abducted aboard a short gray craft that abducted him in 1975, introduced him to a young future UFO filmmaker, Tanya Maida, aboard the ship, flew him to a scene in Tanya's home and flew him across the US, and then showed him the young Alfred Webre. I was then about 31 years old, aboard a short gray spaceship in a glass holding tube, apparently beamed aboard for a briefing or meeting or other process. In 1973, I would have been 31, assuming he was shown a prior scene corresponding to my missing time. My surmise is that Jimmy Carter's 1969 close encounter, my 1973 ET experience, and Andy Basiago's 1975 UFO experience were about, one, coordinating the 1976 election of President Jimmy Carter, two, coordinating the 1977 Carter White House ET study, of which I would become director. The 1977 Carter White House ET study may have led to the treaty abrogation of the Greada secret treaties with the Draco reptilians, Orion Greys, and Anunnakis, which President Dwight Eisenhower signed in 1954, which these ETs abused into a planetary and galactic pedocriminal trade of millions of human children and adults abducted annually for ritual sacrifice, loosh, cannibalism, body parts, all enforced by the US government at the presidential and law enforcement and intelligence level, and pedocriminal institutional New World Order worldwide, because the Pentagon unlawfully terminated the 1977 Carter White House extraterrestrial study. President George H.W. Bush signed the Tau 9 Treaty with the Dracos on behalf of the Draco, Orion Greys, and Anunnaki, and the pedocriminal abuses on Earth have become exponentially worse. Book reviews of my journey landing heaven on Earth. One reviewer of my journey landing heaven on Earth writes, "Your autobiography is, in my opinion," quote, "your autobiography is, in my opinion, the 21st century equivalent of both Augustine of Hippo's Confessions and the Confessions of Jean-Jacques Rousseau. Your autobiography is revolutionary, as were the autobiographies of those two individuals, in the sense that it has innovated why and how an autobiography is written. Similar to the two autobiographies mentioned above, in your own autobiography, you have the immense courage to share with the reader both your hardships and your achievements through various phases of your current incarnation in a candid and original manner. Your autobiography stands apart from theirs because you have written it for the altruistic reason of sharing your current soul journey as a star chart or roadmap to help inform, educate, empower, enlighten, and expand the consciousness of humanity on Earth. Your autobiography is another consciousness-raising work par excellence, Mr. Webre. Thank you very much for sharing your soul's journey landing heaven on Earth thus far. God bless." So the memoir, My Journey Landing Heaven on Earth, containing 750 pages and available in the Kindle ebook at a special sale price of 99 cents for awakening humans is available at exopolitics.com and at Amazon, and also available in softcover at Amazon and at exopolitics.com and at better bookstores worldwide. Thank you very much. I'm Alfred Lambremont Webre. Have a great day, year, life, of course, and afterlife.